O Mubarak, for you it's my prayer. O Mubarak, for you it's my prayer. May you keep ascending success, stay success.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'awudu billahi min shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. Assalatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabi Allah. Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah. My dear Islam brothers and viewers of Madani Channel, whenever you're blessed with the opportunity to enter the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, always trying to enter according to the Sunnah of the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Ta'ala Alaihi Wasallam. The Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Ta'ala Alaihi Wasallam would always enter with his right foot, and then he would make the dua for entering the masjid. It is also commendable that when you enter the masjid, you enter with the intention of nafli itikaf. Hence the reason why I should say nawaitu sunnat al-itikaf. You can make this intention in any language. You can make it in your heart. You can make it in Urdu. Whatever language you wish. But by making this intention for the duration that you spend in the masjid, it will be written in your book of deeds that you spent this time in itikaf. May I remind you to eat, to drink and to sleep in the masjid is forbidden. But if you make this intention, then all of these things become allowable for you and you get the reward as well. So small amount of effort, but inshallah huge amount of reward. Nafli itikaf can be any time. Any time, just for the time it takes you to walk from the door to here and back. If you make this intention of nafli itikaf, then it will be written in your book of deeds for that purpose. There are many blessings in reciting Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Ta'ala Alaihi Wasallam. The Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Ta'ala Alaihi Wasallam is reported to have said that whoever recites salat upon me 100 times, Allah Azza wa Jal shall write freedom from hypocrisy and fire between his eyes. And he will keep such a person with the martyrs on the day of judgment. Sallu ala al-Habibs. See, 100 times, how long does it take you to recite Durud Pak 100 times? You know, probably when you leave here today, by the time you get to your car, or even by the time, definitely by the time you get home, you can have recited 100 times Durud Pak. So please make a habit of reciting Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. My dear Islam brothers and viewers of Madani Channel, in this dunya, in this world, how do we achieve success? How is success measured? And if we look at success in this world, we'll look at it in different qualities. And one of them is wealth. You look at a person, he's got money. You think he's successful. Because that money allows him to buy a nice car, a nice house, nice clothes, nice mobile phone, and all the other things that go with it. So when a person has money, you think he is successful. When a person has status, a position in the company that he is, you think he's successful. And that is how success is measured. So like I was an engineer when in the company that I was working for. You joined as a junior engineer, then you became an assistant engineer, then you become an engineer, then you become a senior engineer, principal engineer, director, senior director, project manager, and so on and so on. And each one of these levels showed you your success. So your status, your position within a company or your position in wherever you're working shows your success. Another thing is your power, your influence. That you're in a position that you can influence people, you're in a position that you can make decisions. And these are the criteria that in this dunya we look at people and we think, that's a successful person. That person's successful because of his money, because of his status, because of his influence, because of his power. But when it comes to the akhirat, are the same qualities, the same things that are going to benefit you then? Is money going to make you a better person in the akhirat? Are you going to have a greater status in the sight of Allah because of your money? No. Money will have no effect. Yes, if you spend that money in the way of Allah, that's another thing. But no matter, you can have the biggest car, you can have the biggest house, you can have the most land, but that will not make you a greater person in the sight of Allah. Similarly, your status, your position. Yeah, if you are a known person, even within an Islamic organization, I'm standing here in front of you as a Zimadar of Dawat Islami. Does that make me greater than anybody else in the sight of Allah? No. So your status, your wealth, your position, and all of these things in the sight of Allah are nothing. And we need to understand that when we measure success in this dunya is measured one way. But success in the Akhirat is completely different. And today we're going to talk about just three things, three qualities of how we can attain that success, or we can see how successful we are in the Akhirat. Because we know how to be successful in this world. Make money, have a position, have a big car, have a big house, have all these things, I'm successful. But as Muslims, our ultimate goal is to attain paradise. To attain the best place in paradise. To attain paradise without accountability. To please our Rabb. That's why we've been created. So are we successful in that criteria? And that's the question that we're going to ask today. Sayyidina Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, radiyallahu ta'ala, he was a companion of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he's amongst those 10 blessed companions that were guaranteed paradise during the lifetime of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned 10 companions, said this person, Jannati, this person is Jannati, this person is Jannati. And these were 10 blessed companions. And if you think about it, then 10 blessed companions, I mean, I know I'm going to go off topic now, but they are our ideal role models. They're the best people that we can look up to. But again, if I was to ask the people in this room, how many of us know them 10 companions? We probably don't even know them. But these were the 10 blessed companions that were guaranteed paradise. Now, one incident happened, and he was a very brave person. His faith was so firm as well, and people knew him because of his piety. He was out in the field tending to his sheep one day. His son came up to him and said, "Oh, beloved father, you're tending your camels here, you're tending your goats here, whilst the people are discussing the issues of the Khilafat, who is going to be the next Khalifa. This is the discussion that's taking place, and you're here looking after your goats, you're here looking after your camels. You know, shouldn't you be over there where that discussion is taking place?" Hearing this, Sayyidina Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala lovingly struck his hand against the chest of his son, and he said, "Be quiet. Be quiet, my son. I have heard the final Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stating, indeed, Allah loves a servant who is righteous, independent, and hidden." Righteous, independent, and hidden. Now, in this very brief hadith of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we know the three qualities of the successful person. And these are the three qualities that we need to look at. Our righteousness, our piety, how pious are we? How independent are we? How hidden are we? And inshallah, very, very briefly, we're going to discuss this. With regards to the first of these three qualities, righteousness. You probably have heard that term. But if I was to say to you, this means taqwa, you probably heard taqwa more. But what actually is taqwa? What is taqwa? What is this thing that we hear so often? Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Imran, verse number 76, and I give you the translation from Kanzul Iman. Allah indeed likes the people that are pious. Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't say, I like the people that are wealthy. Allah doesn't say that I like the people that are powerful or the people that have status. Allah Azza wa Jal likes the people who are pious. So taqwa, this piety, is an essence of servitude and obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. Imam Fakhruddin Razi Rahmatullah Ta'ala adds a highly intellectual point to this topic by saying, Allah has mentioned this quality of taqwa in the Holy Quran, highlighting that the Quran itself is guidance for the people of taqwa. And he says, guidance for those who fear Allah. In another verse, Allah Azza wa Jal says, and it is guidance for the people. This Quran is guidance for the people who fear Allah. This is the book of guidance. How many of us have picked up that Quran and read it? Yes, we've checked our messages to see how many people have messaged us. Yes, we've checked our social media posts to see how many likes we've got, how many comments we've got. We check them every hour, every half hour. But how many of us have actually opened the Quran and looked for the true guidance? Yes, maybe the month of Ramadan we opened it. But when the moon was sighted for Eid, we closed the Quran, kissed it, put it on a shelf, and in many houses it's still there. In many houses it's still there. And it will not come off that shelf for another 12 months. And the only time it will come off that shelf in the next 12 months, if Allah forbid, somebody passes away in that house. Isn't that a sad state of affairs? That the Quran, the book of guidance, we don't read it. We don't read that book of guidance. We don't open the Quran. I've given this example before, I'll very, very quickly give it now. That a person, he goes to the doctors and he says to the doctor, I'm not feeling well, and the doctor does all the checks on that person. And the doctor then says to him that you need to take this medication. And he gives you a prescription. So as you're leaving the doctors, you put the prescription in your top pocket. 2 months later, 3 months later, you go back to the doctor and you say, Doctor, when I saw you last time I was ill, but now I'm really ill. Now I'm suffering, now I'm struggling. What is the first question the doctor will ask you? Did you take the tablets? And when if the doctor asks you, did you take the tablets, you pull out the prescription from the pocket and say, oh doctor, here's the prescription. The doctor's going to say, why have you come to me then? If you're not taking the medicine. You're not taking the medicine, then why are you coming to me? Nowadays in our household we're crying, hi, hi, hi my wife, hi, hi, hi my kids, hi, hi, hi this. What is the difference between us who do not read the Quran and that person who keeps the prescription in his pocket? We put the Quran on the top shelf, he's put the prescription in his pocket. There is no difference. The cure is in our households, everything is there, but we're not using it. And this is something that we need to reflect on. Sallu ala al-Habib, ala Muhammad sallallahu. We're talking about taqwa. The same way taqwa is the root of servitude and obeying to Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, and it's not a virtue at all that you enter your houses by breaking the back wall. Yes, virtue is in piety. Virtue is in piety. That is your success. In Tafsir Siratul Jinan, it states, and I'll read it. In times of ignorance, upon wearing the ihram of Hajj, people became habitual of breaking down the back wall of their homes to enter them. If they needed to return to the homes for a necessity, they considered this an act worthy of reward. The above mentioned verse has revealed in response to the actions of those, and Allah said, it is not a good deed for you to enter your homes from the back, rather come towards the true good deed of taqwa. A lot of people have this misconception that if I do this, it's a good deed. If I do this, it's a good deed. If I do this, it's good. Our deen is telling us what is good. And again, there's a lot of hearsay within our community. A lot of whispers within our community that you should do this, you shouldn't do this. Consult with the scholars. Consult with the Quran. The third is there. But unfortunately, we don't read it. Regarding taqwa, only those who fear Allah and have taqwa in their hearts will offer salah punctually. Only those who have taqwa and fear Allah, they will offer the salah punctually. And if you want to know whether you have taqwa inside you, ask yourself, do I read my namaz on time? Do I read it correctly? Yes, when I'm in the masjid and everybody's watching me, I'll read my namaz very, very slowly. But when I'm at home, am I dressed like this? What is my namaz like that? Why is it that when you're in the masjid in front of 500 people and the Imam Sahib is there, you're reading namaz really, really slowly? But when you're at home, you got your t-shirt on, yeah? And you're not bothered, you haven't even got a topi on your head and you're reading namaz. What is this? What is this taqwa? In the same way you're reading the Quran and you're reading it in front of people, you're coming out with a beautiful voice. You know, somebody said to me the other day, that when you are reading the namaz, you are speaking to Allah. You are speaking to Allah. Imagine speaking to your friend, think of your friend, speaking to your friend in the same speed and tone that you read your namaz. Would your friend reply to you? Would your friend be still your friend? If you talk to him in that speed, when you're reading Surah Fatiha, you're reading it so fast that, you know, if you were speaking to your friend that fast, he won't understand what you're saying. You're saying it in such a tone, your concentration is elsewhere, you're thinking about everything else. When you're talking to your friend, you're concentrating on him, you're looking at him, you're thinking about him. When we're reading namaz, what is our thought? What is our voice? What tone are we speaking in? And then we wonder why our du'as are not answered. Then we wonder why, you know, we're in the situation that we're in. If you want to find out why you're in a situation, why your household is in a mess, or why your du'as are not being accepted, when you get up in the morning and you go and look at the mirror, that person that you see in the mirror, that will be the problem. That will be the problem. When was the last time we read our namaz and when we did dua, we cried in the court of Allah? When was the last time we raised our hands and sincerely did dua and cried in the court of Allah? There's a story come to my mind. There's a person, he was going inside a masjid and there's a person outside. And he was doing dua. And the person said to him, what dua are you doing? And he said, I'm doing dua that my sight be returned. And he said, how long have you been doing this dua? He said, I've been doing it for years. The person said to him, I'm going inside the masjid, I'm reading my namaz. By the time I come back, if your eyesight is not restored, I'm going to chop off your head. Now all of a sudden this person's dua was different. This person's dua was different. Because now his life depended upon it. His life depended on it. By the time that person had come out of the masjid, his eyesight had been restored. Why? Because of our sincerity in our dua. When we do dua, how sincere are we? Or is it just a formality? The Imam Sahib's doing the dua and we're checking our messages on our phone. How sincere is that? And then we wonder why we're in the situation that we're in. That our sincerity is gone. Sayyidina Ibrahim Taymi Rahmatullah Ta'ala once experienced an incident regarding the importance of taqwa. And he said that I would visit the graveyard in a great amount in order to keep death in my mind. The people of the past, they would go to the graveyards. And why do they go to the graveyards? To remember death. Now what we do nowadays, we try and forget death. It's not going to happen, is it? We forget about it. The only time we remember death is when someone's passed away and we walk past the dead body in the masjid, and for the few moments afterwards, because the Imam Sahib tells us, look, this body is telling you that I have gone, you may be next, and you think, you know what, it could be right. What the Imam Sahib is doing is right. And for them few moments, for them 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, we'll think about death. But then we'll forget about it. But the people of the past, the pious people of the past, they thought about death a lot. Why? Because that is the only certainty that you have in life. I do not know what time I'm going to get home today. I don't know what I'm going to eat today. I don't know anything. One thing I do know is I'm going to die. Now I don't know when, which again is scary. Because you got that test in the grave and I don't know when that test is going to be. Am I ready? This is the question, are we ready for the grave? Are you ready for that test? Do you even know the questions that you're going to be asked in the grave? These are things as Muslims we should know this. Sayyidina Ibrahim Taymi Rahmatullah, he went to the graveyard and he said, whilst I was in the graveyard, I fell asleep. And I began to see a dream in which an open grave lay before me with a person inside. A voice then said, take this chain, put it in his mouth and cast it through his body. Hearing this, the person inside the grave exclaimed, oh Allah, did I not recite the Quran? Did I not perform Hajj of your honorable house? The person began to recall all of his good deeds until he received the answer. You conducted these deeds in front of people. Whilst you were alone, you instead declared war against me through your acts of disobedience. You performed the Hajj. You performed the Umrah. You sat in itikaf. Why did you do it? So that people would say he's a Haji. Yeah? So that when you were sitting in itikaf, people say, oh, mashallah, he's in itikaf. What a pious person is he? Yeah? You're sitting there reading Quran all day. Why are you doing it? So that people will say you're pious. You know, as Muslims, we've got this bad habit. We remember all the good deeds that we've done. I've said it before many times. We remember the Hajj that we went on in 2006. The Umrah we went on in 2008. Itikaf in 2011. Yeah? Built a masjid in 2012. You remember all of them things. Do you remember the sins of today? Then good deeds. Number one, you should forget them. And I tell you why, because you don't even know they've been accepted. How do you know your good deeds have been accepted? How do you know your Hajj has been accepted? You do not know whether any of your good deeds have been accepted. But one thing I can say to you, these sins that you committed, you'll be held accountable for them. But one day, every action that you've done, you'll be held accountable for. And on that day, there's no excuses. You can't say, no, I didn't do that. You can't deny it on that day. In this dunya, you can make a fool out of me. If I say to you, brother, did you do this? You say, no, I didn't do it. You're wrong. You didn't see me. It was somebody else's. You can make a fool out of me. You can be the cleverest person on this planet and make a fool out of everybody. Convince everybody that, no, it's not true. You know, we've got some solicitors here and lawyers that you can go to court and convince them. But on that day, no matter how clever you are, you won't be able to hide anything. The truth will come out. The truth will come out on that day. So there's no excuses for that day. And we need to look at ourselves and look at our deeds for that day, and we need to be held accountable for them. But what we do is we hide our things. And what good deeds we do, why do we do them? To show off to people. So this ostentation, this showing off is something that we need to be wary of. You know, we're showing off in front of people. Even the Naat Khan, you know, when he's at home and he's reciting the Naat on his own, how is he reciting it? Because when he's reciting in front of 500 people, how is he reciting it? Again, all of these little things we need to ask us, why are we doing it? As Muslims, you need to ask yourself, why have I done this? Why have I done this? At the beginning of every speech, we say that our actions are dependent upon our intentions. Why are we here today? Why are we here today? Are we here to please our Rabb? The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and if a people come together to remember Allah for the sake of Allah, then they will be rewarded. And the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that on the day of judgment there were people sitting on thrones made of pearls and diamonds, and they will not be the martyrs. And when he was asked, who are these people? The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said they are those people who came from different families, came from different places, gathered together to remember Allah for the sake of Allah. So if we are here for that reason, then inshaAllah Azza wa Jal will be rewarded. If we're here for the food, then you'll have the food. You'll get whatever you come for. Whatever you come for, you will get. If you came here so that somebody can see you, oh yeah, oh Tigger, he came, then you've achieved that. But if you're here for the sake of Allah, for the pleasure of Allah, then inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, you'll be rewarded. And we're told that indeed for the pious is a good ending. The pious people, they will have a good ending. What is meant by a good ending? The end of your life, how you die. And as Muslims, we should be very worried, how do we die? When I say how do we die, I'm not saying do we die at home or do we die in hospital. Do we die with our Iman? The most valuable gift that you have got is your Iman. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this dunya is like water on the finger. You know, you put your finger in the ocean and you take it out, and that water that's there, that's the dunya. That ocean, that's the akhirat. This water, if you put water on your finger, it dries up. It disappears. Oceans don't dry up. We're running after this when we should be running after that. If a person says, I want water, and he's running after this instead of running after that, what would you think about him? And this is what we are doing. This is what we are doing. We need to change our mindset and realize what is the true goal of a Muslim. I've said it many, many times before. I look like a Muslim. I may eat like a Muslim. But do I think like a Muslim? And that is the problem. We don't think like Muslims. We think about money. Our mind goes round that pounds, shillings and pence. That dollars, then euros. That's all we're thinking about. And as Muslims in our life, as Muslims, we have golden opportunities. We are so fortunate. The ummah of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is so fortunate. We have blessed days, we have blessed nights, we have blessed months, we have blessed hours in which we can gain so much reward. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about so many blessed days and blessed nights which you can earn so much more. Do we wait for them days? How many of us were looking for Laylatul Qadr? How many of us were up for Shab Barat? How many of us spent the month of Ramadan in the way that we should spend it? These are the blessed days, the blessed nights that we've been blessed with. We are so lucky. But no, we want that extra overtime. We want that extra money. But we don't want that extra akhirat reward. And that's where as Muslims we need to change how we think. Change our mindset, change our mentality. And one thing I've seen in my personal experience, I don't know if people will agree with me or not, but those people that run after the dunya, they never get it. Because they always want more. They want more. They want more, so they never get it. But I see those people that run after the akhirat and the dunya runs after them. The dunya is chasing them because the dunya wants to grab hold of them. But the person says, I don't want you. I want the akhirat. But unfortunately, we don't get to that stage because we don't have that taqwa inside us. We don't have that piety inside us. We don't have that God feeling inside us. Imam Muhammad Ghazali rahmatullah explains the excellence of taqwa. He says the people of taqwa are commended by Allah Azza wa Jal. He blesses them with the protection from the enemies. They receive unique help from Allah Azza wa Jal. Due to the blessings of the taqwa, He also grants them halal rizq in this world. Your risk is written for us. Our risk is written for us. It is decreed how much you will make. It is decreed what you will eat. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to eat today. But Allah has decided what I'm going to eat today. And yet I'm running after what Allah has already decided. It's already decided. If I'm going to be a millionaire, I will get it. It's up to me whether I get it through halal means or haram means. But if I'm going to be a millionaire, it has already been decided. So I need to make that decision. And unfortunately, we don't. The blessings of taqwa lead to correct rectification of deeds, forgiveness of sins and acceptance of all good deeds. If you have this taqwa inside you, you'll reflect and you'll think that what am I doing? What should I be doing? What should I be doing? And think about your deeds, think about your actions. And as Muslims, we should need to constantly reflect. What have I done today? Like I said earlier on, do we remember the sins that we've committed today? Do we even think about that? Do we think about how we spent our day, how we should have spent our day today? We completely forget. At the time of death, we are said that they are blessed with the honor of being able to see Allah Azza wa Jal if you have taqwa. They are given the good news of safety from punishment after dying. On the day the second Khalifa of the Muslims, Sayyidina Umar Farooq, asked Sayyidina Khab bin Awar radiyallahu ta'ala, "O Khab, tell me what is taqwa?" Sayyidina Khab bin Awar radiyallahu ta'ala responded by saying, "O Amir al-Mu'mineen, have you ever passed by a path upon which there are thorny bushes?" So on a path there's thorns. Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala said, "Yes, I have. Indeed, I have crossed by a path." Hearing this, Sayyidina Khab radiyallahu ta'ala said to him, "How did you go about traveling on it?" So there's a path with thorns on it, and you're walking. How did you travel on it? He said, "I avoided the thorns, and I folded up my clothes to avoid them getting caught in the thorns." Sayyidina Khab radiyallahu ta'ala explained, "O Amirul Mu'mineen, this is taqwa. This is taqwa. Protecting yourself from them thorns." What are them thorns? The evil sins of this society. Staying away from them. You protect your clothes, you'll protect your feet. You know, when you're walking in the rain, you make sure you've got the right clothes on. You protect yourself where you're going, but are you protecting your soul? Because this body is temporary. So we need to realize this, viewers of Madani Channel. Sayyidina Bazid Bistami, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, was once traveling and stopped at a place with his murids. He washed his blessed kameez, and his murids requested, "Please place your kameez over this wall." And he said, "It's not my wall. I don't have permission to put my kameez on this wall to dry." They said to him, "Well, put it on this tree to dry then." And he said, "This tree, the birds sit on this tree and they eat from this tree. I cannot put it on this tree." "Put it on the grass then." He said, "The animals eat the grass, I cannot put it there." So he got the kameez and put it on his back and faced the sun for the kameez to dry on his back. This is taqwa. This is taqwa. Nowadays we use people's things without even asking. We don't even think about it. We even use masjid facilities without even thinking about it. It's there, isn't it? Chalo, we'll use it. Doesn't matter, does it? We'll put a nail in someone's wall without thinking about it. Again, these are the things that Islam teaches us, all these things. But as Muslims, we've gone so far away from this that we forgot about this. So how do we get this taqwa? Obviously, we talk about taqwa now. We know how righteous it is and we should have this, but how do we get it? The first thing is knowing what are sins. As Muslims, we need to know what is right and what is wrong. Unless you know, you'll not be able to avoid it, do you? Now, you know that thorns will hurt you, so you avoid them thorns. But if you do not know that them thorns will hurt you or not, then you'll get hurt. So as Muslims, we need to acquire this knowledge. What are those things that can affect my soul? What are those things that can cause me to displease Allah? We don't know. And we don't want to know. Because we're scared of knowing. Because if we know them, we think, oh, we're held accountable. But it's your responsibility to know. It is farz upon you to have the farz al-loom. You need to know these things and be aware of these things. And secondly, if you commit a sin, then you need to hate that sin wholeheartedly. Now, when I say hate a sin, be careful about this. We hate the sin, we don't hate the sinner. So no matter how big a person is a sinner, because I'm a huge sinner, today I'm standing in front of you, you don't know what sins I've committed. So we don't hate the sinner, we hate the sin. And our deen tries to bring people back. We try to repent, and that Islam provides you those things. There's Madani Channel in front of you. There's Maktabatul Budin in which you can get the books there. The many resources are there. If you look at the people of the past, they would travel hundreds of miles to acquire a small one hadith from somebody. Nowadays, a click of a button, it's all there. What's our excuse for not acquiring the knowledge of the deen? And you know, because it's so easy to acquire the knowledge of the deen, because it's so easy, it's lost our value in our minds. The people of the past used to value the knowledge. They would travel hundreds of miles, they would stay there for months and months and months to learn from one teacher. There's many instances where you hear of people sitting outside people's doors, waiting for the teacher to come outside and teach them something. Because they knew the value of the deen. Nowadays, knowledge is so easily available. And that's why we don't value it. That's why we don't care about finding out about that knowledge. But as Muslims, it is our responsibility to acquire the knowledge of the deen. Because unless you know the knowledge, have this knowledge, how can you protect yourself? Knowledge is a weapon. And as weapons, we need these weapons to protect ourselves. To protect ourselves from the whispers of shaitan. And nowadays, all of you that are sitting in this room today will know that to protect our iman is getting harder and harder and harder. Our children, they've been affected by more and more different ways than in the past. 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have these mobile phones like we've got now. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all of these things. Now, all of these things are good things. They're like a knife. A knife can be used to cut an apple, but at the same time, that knife can slit your throat. And unfortunately, a lot of these things are slitting the throats of our imams, of our children. But we don't realize it. So we need to have that knowledge to protect ourselves, to protect our iman. And we need to acquire that knowledge. The second thing that was mentioned in that hadith that I mentioned at the beginning was independence. The meaning of the word ghani, independence. This means to be free of want and need. Total independence in Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is again is from the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jal says, "O people, you are dependent upon Allah, and only Allah is the independent, the most praiseworthy." We need to be dependent upon Allah, believe in Allah, trust in Allah. Nowadays we don't have that trust. The Prophet of Allah, Sayyidina Isa al-Islam, was reported to have been asked, "O Ruh Allah, what is the reason that you can walk upon water the way that we could walk upon land?" He could walk on the water. In reply, he said to them, "What importance is dirham and dinar to you? How important is dirham and dinar to you?" And they said, "According to us, dirham and dinar are good things to be sought after." Sayyidina Isa ﷺ said, "According to me, the dirham and dinar is equivalent to a lump of dirt." It has no significance. It has no significance. Yes, we need money. Brothers and viewers of Madani Channel, I'm not going to say to you that you don't need money. We all need money. I agree, admit that. But money has become our priority in our life, not our necessity. It's become our maqsad, our purpose in life. Yes, you need money. We all need money. I need money. I'm not going to say to you, I don't need money. I need money. We all need money. But money should not rule us. We should rule money. Money rules us. And nowadays our life revolves around that money. Our jobs revolve around that money, rather than revolving around our deen. And again, I've said it before, that our deen has become a hobby. That if we get time, we read namaz. If we haven't, then it doesn't matter. If we get time, if there's no, we wait for the Ramzan calendar to come, but at the same time, we wait for the work calendar to come as well. And the work, he said, "Oh, you got the opportunity to do overtime." "Oh, I've got overtime. This year, I won't fast during this year because I've got overtime. This year, I won't do this because I can make all this money. This year, I won't do this." So our life revolves around our money. And our deen is part-time. We'll go to the masjid if we've got time. We'll read namaz if we've got time. We'll read the Quran if we've got time. Rather than making time for the dunya, our Quran, our namaz is a priority, and everything is a secondary. So we've got our priorities wrong. As Muslims, we've got our priorities wrong. Our priority is this dunya, our priority is this day. And that's where we need to change. The third quality that was mentioned was anonymity. Being hidden. Hiding yourself. Nowadays, whatever we do, we want people to know. If we even when we go out and eat something, we'll buy a piece and we want a picture and we'll put it on social media. Isn't that sad that we want people to know our good deeds? If we've given something to the masjid, we want to make an announcement that I've given this, and if I don't make an announcement, I'm not going to give it. Is this where we have gone? Is this where the Muslims have gone to, that unless we have our name in lights, unless our name comes on social media, unless our name is on a poster that, oh, he's done this for the masjid, or he's done this for the deen, we don't want to do it? Why are you doing it? It's the same as I said at the beginning. What is your priority? Is your priority that you want people to say, "Oh, mashallah, mashallah, you give 50 pounds, subhanallah." You got it. You've achieved what you wanted. But if you want the pleasure of Allah, then you can do it by just putting 50 pounds in the box and not telling anybody. You don't need to tell anybody. Just put it in the box and you got the reward. But again, is that our purpose? Nowadays with social media, we want everybody to know everything that we're doing. You've read a namaz in a certain masjid, you want people to know, I'm in this masjid. Yeah? I've gone on Umrah, I'm here. I've gone on Hajj, I'm here. Everywhere you go, you want people to know that you are there. What is your intention? Are we doing it to please people? Yes, if you can do it with the intention of pleasing your Rabb, and at the same time please people, but your priority needs to be there. Yes, if I say that I've given £100 to the masjid with the intention that, okay, if I've given it, maybe other people will give as well. then that's a good intention. But if my intention is to get the praise of people, then that's where we're going wrong. So my dear Islam brothers, in our life we need to change. We need to change how we think. We need to change how we think, not how we look. Alhamdulillah, many of us are looking like Muslims. So as Muslims, we need to change how we think. And unfortunately, we need to change that mindset. By coming to these gatherings, by acquiring the knowledge of the deen, then inshallah we can get to that state where we can think as a Muslim, act as a Muslim, live our life as a Muslim. Our youngsters are here today, they need that guidance, they need that support. Because shaitan is on every street corner trying to take the iman of our children away. And it's up to us to secure that. You cannot say, oh, I've given my child to the Imam Sahib sort him out. That's not enough. On the day of judgment, if you were asked that, what tarbiyat did you give to your child? You say, oh, I got a really good Imam Sahib to teach him. No, that's not good enough. So my dear Islam brothers and viewers of Madani Channel, please, make a change. Make a change. You know, say that there's only 3 days in your life. Yesterday, today and tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow might not come. If you want to make a change, today. You know, people say, oh, when Ramzan comes, I'll start reading my namaz. When Ramzan comes, I'll start reading the Quran. When Ramzan comes or when Friday comes on, and Ramzan's come and gone, did we change? The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, woe unto him who a month of Ramadan comes and a month of Ramadan goes and he fails to get his sins forgiven. How many was benefited from that month? The people of the past, they used to cry for 6 months after the Ramadan, Ya Allah, were my deeds accepted or not? And they used to do dua for 6 months, Ya Allah, bless us with the month of Ramadan. We need to change. And today is the day to change. Amir Sunnah on Madani Channel, he says that the war, shaitan ke khilaf jang jari rahega. The war against shaitan will continue. What is that war? That war is not, I give you all baseball bats and we go out on the street. That's not the war. That war is your personal war. I pray to Allah Azza wa Jalla, if I've said anything wrong, may Allah Azza wa Jalla forgive me. And I pray to Allah Azza wa Jalla, Allah give me and you the tawfiq and the ability to think about what I have said, to act upon what I have said, and to pass this message on to others as well. Ameen bi jahin nabil ameen. Sallu ala al-habib.
O Mubarak, for you is my prayer. O Mubarak, for you is my prayer. May you keep us